Garnacho to Chelsea? The Saudis' shock move for Lewandowski. Perez sells Vinicius? Arsenal go all in for Eze? All that and loads more in today's episode. But before we get into it, as always, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. Ready? Let's jump into the latest transfer rumors. So, there's a new face at Real Madrid, a guy who walked in like he owned the place, Kylian Mbappé. He's on a mega deal, 23 million euros a year, plus some frankly scary bonuses like a 40 million euro signing-on fee that's paid out over 5 years. And right at that moment, you can just feel the tension rising in the Vinicius Jr. camp. Because what's happening now is a story straight out of a TV drama. Vinny has let it be known that he wants to earn the same, or maybe even more, than his new French colleague. At the moment, the Brazilian makes 15 million a year and is asking for another 8 on top to match Mbappé's basic 23 million. But, and this is the interesting part, he apparently wouldn't mind pushing it all the way to 30 million. That number sounds familiar, doesn't it? It's pretty much what Mbappé is making once you add in his yearly bonus. And this is where Real Madrid realized someone's trying to play games. The contract talks have been dragging on for ages, and it feels like both sides are just sick of it now. Sources close to the club like Mundo Deportivo are saying the whole process is on ice. Why? Because Florentino Perez essentially said, "Gracias." But no, the Madrid bosses are not happy with the Brazilian's appetite for cash. Last season, Vinny played 58 games and scored 20 goals. It's good, but let's be fair. It's not Mbappé's 44 goals and the Golden Boot. It's not the kind of performance that makes a club throw 30 million euros a year at you, especially when you've just come through a rough patch of form and injuries. Real Madrid is supposed to be in its new Galactico phase, young, hungry, team-focused. And Perez does not want to get pushed around by superstar demands anymore. It really looks like Vinicius is trying to use Mbappé's arrival as leverage, and the club is getting seriously annoyed. Right now, they're considering everything, even the blockbuster option, selling him. And just on cue, Al Ahly from Saudi Arabia have entered the chat. According to Ben Jacobs at TalkSport, they're willing to put an eye-watering 350 million euros on the table for Vinny. He hasn't given an answer yet, but that would shatter the world transfer record. And honestly, if Madrid managed to pull that off, it would be an incredible deal for them. But so far, there's silence from Vinny's side. His contract runs until 2027, so Real don't have to sell. But the atmosphere is getting heavy. The player wants to be paid what he feels he's worth, and the club doesn't want to be held hostage again. They've been down that road with Ronaldo, Bale, and Hazard. They're not doing it again. Sometime soon, either they'll sit down and make peace, or this whole thing is going to end in a very messy, very public, and very expensive breakup. This whole saga is definitely worth talking about. Friends, don't be a stranger. Your reaction really helps the channel grow. Give this video a thumbs up or down. Go on, do it now, and tell me in the comments what you think. Is Vinny right to ask for the money, or is Perez handling this perfectly? We'd be really grateful. We'll keep watching. We'll keep waiting. And the final question is, Vinny or Vendetta? Jack Grealish to Everton. It sounds a little out of left field, doesn't it? But it could just be the opportunity of a lifetime for both sides. We're talking about the Jack Grealish, the 100 million pound man, the player who was in every other TV ad and looked like a dead cert for England's starting 11. So what happened? Well, now it seems Pep Guardiola doesn't have him in his plans, and his name is cropping up more and more in transfer rumors. According to a few insiders, Everton are very keen on Grealish, and they're thinking about a loan deal, not a full-blown transfer. The people at Everton know that buying a player with his kind of wage packet is a huge gamble, and City will obviously want to get some of their money back. But the Toffees haven't given up hope. They see a chance in Jack, and they believe Moyes is the right man to unlock it. And this is where the story gets compelling, because it's a move that makes sense for everyone. Grealish needs to hit the reset button on his career, and fast. He wants to be playing, to be in the conversation, to show he's still good enough for England. With the World Cup just around the corner, he can't afford to be warming the bench. And what better place to get back on track than a club where you'll be the main man from day one? And let's be fair, David Moyes isn't exactly blessed with flair players. Everton are desperate for a spark of creativity in the final third. Grealish could be exactly what they need, a game changer on the wing, a player who can make something out of nothing and get the crowd on their feet. Is it a risk? Yes, absolutely. Grealish isn't in top form, But then again, he spent so much time on the sidelines, how could he be? It's clear that Guardiola has moved on. Pep demands a certain kind of player for his system: disciplined, structured, controlled. Grealish is an artist, a player who needs to feel inspired. He needs a bit of freedom. He's never going to get that in a system where everything is mapped out. Here's a neat little bonus. For a loan, he wouldn't even have to move. He lives in Cheshire, so he could stay put, in his own home, but step into a completely fresh environment at the club. Fewer disruptions, more focus on his football. That's exactly what he needs. The only real hurdle, as you'd expect, is the money. City want to sell, Everton want a loan. And Jack's salary is way out of Everton's league. For this to work, he'd almost certainly have to take a pay cut. But if he really wants to salvage his top-flight career, that's the price he might have to pay. It all boils down to one thing: desire. Grealish needs to play, and Everton need a player like him. The question is, are they both willing to bend a little to make this partnership happen? If they are, we could be about to witness one of the most fascinating loan deals in a long time. Arsenal are not taking their foot off the gas this summer and are dead serious about another big signing. And you have to say, the Gunners' target is a huge one: Eberechi Eze from Crystal Palace. In fact, if you believe the insiders at Caught Offside, Arsenal are now leading the race, ahead of both Manchester City and Manchester United. And here's why this whole saga is starting to look very real. Mikel Arteta seems to have his squad almost complete, but he's still missing something. That special spark, that bit of magic and creativity on the left wing. He needs someone who can not only challenge Gabriel Martinelli, but really shake things up, add some unpredictability, and of course, goals. And Eze, who racked up an insane 25 goal contributions in all competitions last season, looks like the perfect man for the job. And it seems Eze himself is all for the move. There's a brilliant little detail here too. Years ago, he was actually part of Arsenal's academy. So this isn't just a transfer, it's a proper homecoming story. It's reported that personal terms are already agreed, and he's even told the Palace board he wants to move to North London. Sounds like a done deal, right? But as always, there's one massive but, and its name is money. Crystal Palace are not about to let their star man go on the cheap. His contract has a £68 million release clause, and the Eagles want every single penny of it. However, it looks like Arsenal have a crafty plan. The Gunners are ready to pay £30 million up front and then split the remaining £38 million into payments over the next 2 years. Basically, they want to have their cake and eat it too. Right now, the clubs are haggling over this payment structure, but sources say progress is being made. What's interesting is how respectful this whole thing has been. Eze isn't kicking up a fuss or forcing a move, he's just quietly getting ready for the season. Arsenal, in turn, aren't applying pressure, understanding that losing a player like him is a massive blow for Palace. They're giving them time to find a replacement. And it looks like the Eagles are already on it. According to the press, their top target to replace Eze is Bilal El-Khanis from Leicester. So, the groundwork is being laid on all sides. There is one more catch, though. To pull off such an expensive deal, Arsenal will probably have to sell someone to balance the books. And the main name being mentioned is Leandro Trossard. That would be a very interesting swap. So here's the picture. Arsenal get a creative, goal-scoring player for a problem position with a great homecoming story attached. Eze gets his dream move to a top club. Crystal Palace make a huge profit and have already found a replacement. It seems like a win-win-win. But here's the main question. Is Eze really the missing piece for a title-winning Arsenal? And is he worth that £68 million even in installments? Would this transfer justify the potential sale of Trossard? Get in the comments and let me know what you think. I'm really keen to read your thoughts. Have you ever seen the big dogs at Barcelona play a high-stakes game of poker? Well, right now, the card in their hand is Robert Lewandowski. A killer card, but an old one. Selling him is terrifying. Keeping him is painful. And the stakes are getting higher. The Saudis are on the hunt again. They've set their sights on Lewandowski and are ready to offer not just a bag of cash, but a whole train carriage of gold bars. Right now, Saudi clubs are in initial talks with the striker's camp, offering a mega contract, an astronomical salary, and of course, a luxurious end to his career. For now, Lewandowski isn't kicking up a fuss. He's settled in Barca. He's not posting cryptic Instagram stories or liking Al Nassr's page. But that's for now. Hansi Flick is counting on him for the new season, which is just around the corner. But Barcelona are holding a different hand. He's 37 in 2 weeks, has 1 year left on his contract, a salary that's through the roof, and financial fair play is still very much a thing. With those facts, any serious offer from the Saudis doesn't look like betrayal. It looks like a stroke of genius, especially if they're willing to pay 30 to 40 million euros for him. But hang on, you remember who we're talking about. This is Robert Lewandowski. This is 42 goals a season. This is the last tooth in the Tigers' jaw. And now Barca is wondering, should they pull that tooth for money they might not even be able to spend right away? Because let's be honest, who replaces him in this team? Ferran Torres? Scores a few but misses a lot more. Dani Olmo, a great player, but he's not a number 9. Then there's the wonky transfer window. The Saudis can snatch Robert away even after the European shopping spree is over. Can you imagine? The window slams shut. Barca breathes a sigh of relief. And a week later, bam, a here we go. And he's in Riyadh, snacking on dates to the sound of crunching dirhams. Still, it's hard to see Robert himself saying, "Time for the desert." He is fiercely motivated to compete at the top level and keep banging in goals in Europe. All reports say he hasn't shown the slightest interest in moving. Plus, he's still the main man in Flick's plans, a pure number 9. A guy who can light a fire on the pitch even on a gloomy Catalan evening. But here's the catch. You know Barcelona. They'll smile to your face while signing the sale papers behind your back. If an offer like 50 million for a 37-year-old lands on the table, Camp Nou will accept it with tears of gratitude. But they have one condition. It has to be done fast. Any delay could wreck their preseason plans. And Flick himself is unlikely to argue if 33 million euros a year suddenly vanishes from the wage bill. He's a man of principles, but he's also a pragmatist. This whole thing looks like another transfer western with 2 cowboys, Barca and Saudi Arabia, aiming their guns at each other with Lewandowski in the middle. And Robert? He's just standing there, silent. He might not be thinking of leaving, but in football, as you know, anything is possible. Especially when a bag of money weighs more than a La Liga title. So if Lewandowski says yes, a legend's career ends with an Arabian checkmate. If he says no, we get at least 1 more season with a proper goal machine. But something tells me the Saudis are about to go all in, and Barca, as is tradition, will act surprised. Alejandro Garnacho, how do I put this gently, is no longer Ruben Amorim's golden boy. The Argentine, who was being called the future of Manchester United under Erik ten Hag not so long ago, is now packing his bags. The new manager doesn't see him as a first-team player and has made it clear, thanks for everything, but you're not part of the plan. And according to the latest inside info, the goodbye could happen in the coming weeks. For Garnacho, it's not all bad news. Yeah, he's losing his status as a top club player, technically, but he gets to stay in the Premier League. According to the reliable Ben Jacobs, the Argentine wants to stay in England and Chelsea are showing the most serious interest. And that's exactly where he wants to go. Let's rewind. Under Ten Hag, Garnacho was a key part of the attack. Fast, fearless, not afraid to take players on. A proper live wire on the wing. The fans loved him, his highlights went viral. But then came Amorim. And Amorim isn't a manager you can impress with 1 or 2 stunning goals in the 89th minute. He demands hard graft, discipline, and tactical execution. And the word is, Garnacho wasn't pulling his weight in training. The result? A spot on the bench for the Europa League final, a public fallout, game over. And now Chelsea, a team that's basically built a collection of under-23s with a bit of an attitude. It's a project all about youth, pressing, pace, and let's be honest, a touch of chaos. In a system like that, Garnacho could thrive, especially with Noni Madueke now sold to Arsenal. Yes, the Blues have already signed Jamie Bino-Gittins, but Enzo Maresca wants depth on the wings. Garnacho fits the bill perfectly. He's got PL experience, the technical skill, the right age, and sky-high ambition. United's situation is different. The club desperately needs funds for a new striker and maybe some fullbacks. Garnacho is one of the few players they can actually cash in on right now. Despite his contract running for another 3 years, the club is ready to sell. They even offered him to Aston Villa, not just Chelsea, as part of a swap deal. They wanted either Nicholas Jackson or Ollie Watkins in return. But there was a snag. Jackson is valued at £80 million, while Garnacho is rated at just £30 million. Feel the difference? The deal looked like trading a pizza for an iPhone. It just wasn't happening. Speaking of bad deals, watching my videos without being subscribed is pretty much the same thing. You get all the content, and I just see you as a number in my YouTube analytics. Let's make this a fair trade. You subscribe, and I'll keep making new videos. Go on, hit the button. It's less painful than selling Garnacho for 30 million. With all that in mind, Chelsea can afford to play the long game. United are under pressure from the deadline. They need the money. So, as the window nears its end, Garnacho's price could easily drop to a more reasonable level. It's a classic game of chicken, and the Blues have mastered it. Yes, in their hunt for young talent, the Blues have already built half a squad of players whose peak is still years away. But Garnacho isn't just another teenager with a TikTok highlight reel. He's a proven Premier League player, one of the most exciting wingers of his generation. And if Manchester United want to let him go, Enzo Maresca simply has to say, yes please, get it signed. All we can do is watch this space. Garnacho to Chelsea isn't just a big-name transfer. It's a new chapter in the Argentine's career. And who knows? Maybe it's where he truly comes of age as a footballer.